Right.
Like, you know.
And did you ever have to stoop to crime to pay for any of your?
I dealt drugs. I've stolen. Yes, I've stolen from my parents and friends.
What does addiction do to one's sense of morality? Because it seems like addicts can burn the people they care the most about or claim they care, as though the drug erases all morality. The need for the drug. Right?
Yes, it can. The sickness can take you places where, you'll do anything to get the fix, and you'll deal with it later. There's no sense of consequence in addiction. It's just about in the moment, satisfying that, you know.
That's a compelling urge when it can override your moral.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've, you know, that's part of what kept me in my addiction, actually. It was when I found it back in Vancouver, was that I had done some pretty bad things to some good people, like my family and my friends, you know, and those images haunted me. And that's part of what kept me in my addiction now. And it was the Ibogaine that helped me realize that I did what I had to do to survive at that time, and just because I did those things doesn't mean that I am that person, and it doesn't mean that I have to continue being that person, and I can forgive myself, and I can get on with my life, and I can become a better person for those experiences.
Tell me what you tried before Ibogaine in regards to drug interruption. Like what rehab, what kind of detox did you try? What are the things you went through in order to kick heroin? I take it most addicts at some point try to kick that, the addiction.
Yeah. Pretty much the first time I tried was cold turkey, but that lasted for 4 days, like I said. And the next series of attempts, 3 attempts, were with methadone. While in the States, they offer a 21-day detox program that you can get on, and they start you out at like 30 milligrams a day, and they detox you slowly down to nothing. And I tried that over a period of probably a year, 3 different times in a year.
It must be very difficult, obviously, if you
and no counseling was offered as part of that too. So you're just sort of left up to your own devices, and you know, here, come and take your dose every day at the clinic, and that's pretty much it. And also, I was limited too because I was in a foreign country to the services that I could get from the government as well. So yeah, tried that. You know, that didn't last for more than a couple of weeks.
What's the difficulty in methadone? Like they wean you down to nothing, and then what happens to you?
And then you're just done. And you know, they tell you, you can, you know, maybe check out NA meetings and stuff like that, because you do have a consultation with an actual doctor, like an MD. But like I said, there's no counseling. Back then, anyway, there was.
When did it occur to you that your addiction was related to unsolved issues of your childhood?
I guess that's what made me prone to addiction.
Right.
That's totally what made me prone to addiction. What kept me in my addiction is where my addiction took me, for sure.
Explain.
Okay. The death of my father was a very traumatic experience, and because of the way it was dealt with when I was a child, and other traumatic experiences that I went through with me, that made me very prone to be an addict. And then when I first was in this, all of a sudden found myself in, you know, living, you know, dealing on the streets, hanging out with friends, and
community almost.
Yeah, a community, this underground community of doing this, and I became addicted. I spiraled into this life that was not very pretty. Like being addicted to heroin and crack, you know, is not a good thing.
Well, that's what, to an outsider, of course.
It takes you to some really bad places.
It seems like, why would someone want to live so terribly? Because your concern for your health diminishes.
Yeah, you don't. It just sort of happens that way. You spiral out of control, and the need for drugs and the shame that you feel, you don't. You know, like, oh my God, how could people love me, you know?
Does an addict feel shame?
Oh my God, amazing amounts of shame and guilt and mistrust. And when you become an addict, it's almost like you are 2 different people. You are the addict and you are your real self.
Does the real self get to come forward often? Sometimes,
but when addiction is heavy, not very often, because you keep taking the drugs to numb out what's around you. Like, how do you get away from that? How do you walk off the corner of the downtown east side? Where do you go?
Mm-hmm.
if you call a detox and they say, sorry, it's full, we can't take you, where do you go? If you want to get off the drugs, you're at this point, you've got nothing. Where do you go? So you stay down there. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. You know, and also, yeah, the whole shame and the whole cycle of slow death.
So you tried methadone on 3 occasions in 1 year. What year would that be? Do you know?
Yeah, I do. That would have been in 1990.
1990, a long time ago.
Yeah.
So what other therapies and methods of getting off hard drugs, heroin, and cocaine do you try after that? Or do you?
Well, I had to do a 28-day inpatient treatment center.
When you say you had to, it sounds like you were ordered by incarceration.
I was. I did 3.5 months jail time in San Francisco. For drugs, but that was not part of my addiction. I didn't get arrested for crack or heroin. It was an LSD charge, so it was a different kind of thing. But
So you're totally in the drug culture when you're an addict too. Yeah, I guess you can say you're surrounded by drugs of all kinds.
Yeah, totally. It started out with psychedelics, lots of psychedelics. But yeah, so I had to do a 28-day inpatient program, and I learned a little bit about treatment and about resentments and sort of starting to look a little bit more at what could have caused me to become addicted and that kind of thing. And
during this period, do you have any friends who are not addicted, who are your close associates, who are concerned for you? And
at this point, I'm not around drugs anymore. At this point, I'm living in the Midwest in a small town where people are drinking and smoking pot, and that's it, and that's all I'm doing at this point. So I'm away from all of that. I've left that scene now at this point in my life.
So as long as you stay in small town America, it sounds like it's possible to avoid hard drugs.
No, not really. There's still cocaine, and speed is also a big thing. That's especially in the U.S., small town, Midwest.
And obviously you get reacquainted to hard
alcohol.
drugs.
Alcohol is huge. My God, people that discount alcohol as a drug, my God, it's a killer. It kills people.
Have you ever had an alcohol problem?
No. Alcohol has never done it for me.
Okay, well let's go to where you were next. And when do you come to Vancouver?
I come to Vancouver in the spring of 1996.
Right. Now, for 6 years, when you're in the Midwest from 91 to 96, what's your drug history there?
Drinking alcohol a little bit, partying kind of on the weekends, and smoking pot when.
So it would appear that you've almost kicked your addiction then to all intents and purposes.
Yeah, pretty much.
But something must happen. You come to Vancouver?
Come to Vancouver. And, well, no, actually, in the early spring of 95, I was married at this point, and we moved into a larger city. And my ex-husband, we started hanging out with some friends of his, and they started doing coke and speed. And I was like, no, I'm not into that. I don't want to do that. You guys are stupid, blah, blah, blah. And, a couple months later, it was sort of, if you can't beat them, join them. And I was right there with them. And then for about 9 months of almost every day, I did speed or cocaine.
It's obviously important about the company we keep when you're both an addict or you're looking to stay away from addiction. Because I think that it would seem to me that if one person in any given group takes hard drugs, it spreads to others quite quickly.
Yeah, it sure can.